The Fulton DeKalb Hospital Authority presents the 4th Annual Health Summit with a theme entitled Violence, America's Challenge. This is a segment from the Town Hall discussion hosted and moderated by Roland Martin. Our panelists are Chairman John Eves, Essence Magazine founder Susan Taylor, Judge Penny Brown Reynolds, Sheriff Ted Jackson, Commissioner Larry Johnson, and Judge Willie Lovett.
This is a huge problem for me. Again, this goes to solution. When we're having these rallies and meetings and seminars, I believe in data collection.
Yes.
Because when it's time for the city council hearing,
evidence-based,
or the county hearing, or the state hearing, you got to have folks who come testify. Mm-hmm. You got to have folks who actually show up. And look, and let me be clear. I've said this to Reverend Jackson, Reverend Sharpton, every single one of them. Don't call a big meeting if you don't have data collection, because all you've done is wasted all those folks showing up. And that's a part of that as well, because when you need folks to come to that hearing, you need to be able to send an email out or send a text out saying, I need 100 people to show up on this date for this hearing to make sure this bill gets pushed through or to testify. One of the other things I think I'm curious about, mentoring is, we talked about mentoring, we talked about mental health, also education. How do you see, and I'm thinking scale, how do you see something that is scalable, that is about teaching parents how to be parents?
Oh, let me jump in here. Just two quick things. Let me go back to the mentoring piece. When the National Cares Mentoring Movement was founded, it happened, as Tommy Dortch knows, when New Orleans was flooded. Okay, so we said we have to get black people into the mentoring space. Because when the call goes out for mentors, it's white women who are the first responders, and then white men, then black women and black men. We need black people to show up. Got a call from somebody down in Broward County who was a frustrated teacher, one of our leaders down there. Now we're in 58 cities. But the first affiliate was started right here in Atlanta by Tommy Dortch. And we've replicated. I'm not doing anything that's not replicable. At this stage and age of my life, after 37 years at Essence and getting ready to turn 70, everything I do has to matter for the community. Okay, so now I get a
Y'all go ahead and say, y'all know black don't crack, just say it.
70, I get a call.
I heard of here, damn!
Beautiful. I get a call from the sister and she says to me she's frustrated. About what, 17-year-old, has 2 children, but there are no summer programs. A 17-year-old with 2 children? I need to go down there. My next trip to Miami, I go to the Seagull School. What I saw took my breath away. I saw kids, these were baby girls, with babies, car seats, book bags, and baby bags, wrestling them all onto baby school buses. I was like, oh my God. We cannot do only deploying of mentors to the Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Clubs. That's what we were doing. We're gonna begin to pilot our own programs. And so what we did, is that you, Letty? Is Letty here? Thank you, Delta Airlines. Letty Ashworth, who makes it possible for us to bring our people from all across the country. 70 just left New York City for training. This is what our model looks like. Harlan High, you know, it's outside of Chicago, a school that they would want to close. That's where we are. Pathways in Detroit. 2 schools, one with 1,400 young people, most have been incarcerated in South Florida. It's a group mentoring program that is all school. So we are in there in the middle of the school day with a curriculum that starts with heritage. Because we don't know who we are. We don't know what we come from. We don't know our African past. That then moves on to spirituality and relationships and conflict resolution and diet and nutrition and how you take care of yourself and how we treat one another, all the way to public policy. And this is what we are implementing in those schools with 1,000 young children, 1,000 youngsters. In one school, 1,700 in another. Every single week. We have 500 young people in one of those schools in wellness mentoring circles, where they sit in single gender communities and really talk about the trauma of being poor in the wealthiest country in the world. It hurts, it's debilitating, it crushes their dreams, and they need a place where they can express. So I'm saying that there is a way that we can enter those schools. Roland, understand that charter schools only begin where schools fail. So I'm saying the school has to fail for the charter to step in. Now, we know that it's big dollars available. This is what the Omegas and the Alphas and all of the sororities and fraternities should be doing. And if you speak about it maybe from a financial perspective, because I don't know how we get middle-class people to care about poor people.
Well, actually,
if you live in the suburbs, we get you to go to that inner city school parent meeting, parent-teacher meeting. I don't know how we do that.
Well, here's what's interesting, Susan.
That.
There are members who are already working in those schools.
Say that again?
There are already members who are either principals or teachers or on those boards. And my point is, scale it. We literally, at the Alpha Convention, I led the session, and there were people who stepped up, and there were about 20, 30 brothers who were already working in the system. But they were not thinking scale. They were only thinking 1 or 2. I'm trying to get them to think scale. I'm trying to think, you're 50, you're 50, you're 50. You look up, it's 150 schools.
We brought together Hakeem Adabuti and his wife Safisha, who own more charter schools than any other black entity in the nation, along with people in New York City who had charter schools. We brought them together and said, it's time for a network. When you all are ready, get them to come so they can teach how to do it well.
Right, and the reason you keep hearing me say scale is because when we're talking about violence, it's not a corner, it's not a street, it's not a block. We have to think in terms of scale. And so in National Cares, you went from 1, now it's 58. That's scale. That's how you actually impact it. You want to go ahead and step in. And again, on this whole idea, and Sheriff, I'd love to get your thoughts in terms of what you're doing externally, also internally. What must be done, again, dealing with teaching parents? Because if you're talking to somebody who's 17, they're not learning how to be a parent. They're still trying to figure out how to be a young adult while also being a parent. This has to also be a part of this conversation about reducing violence.
Yes, it should be. This is a spirit. Violence is a spirit and of hopelessness. When you wake up hungry and you go to school, and I've been hungry as an adult, and you know that you have potential beyond anything that the world can see, but everything around you says you can't do it. And you are a mother because father's gone for whatever reason, whether he's incarcerated or not. Before they will deal with your child, they will put him in special education. You don't know what an IEP means because it's something you don't quite understand yourself. You don't have any support system. We don't even know our neighbors. And they're doing the very best. I'm not making an excuse for anyone.
Right.
I'm just being the voice, which is what my mission is. As we sit here, all of us, bourgeoisie, elitists, middle-class black folk, I don't want us to forget, and I know we're not, and I know you know, and I know all of us know, from the judge who breaks his heart when he has to do it, to the sheriff whose heart is broken when we have to take us in. But we have to remember that when there is hopelessness, you've never been paralyzed by that. We talked about it, and from fear and faith. It's a fear that makes you have a mentality that every day all you can see is the next day.
Right.
We don't see the next day. We see our future. My granddaughter says she's going to go at 10 years old to Harvard or some Ivy League school. They don't see that. And we have to give them back that hope, that spirit, that consciousness to walk more in order for the parents to be able to parent their children appropriately.
Does anyone here know of, and again, there's a bunch of folks here you might know, is there an existing model in the Atlanta area that is a strong parental training program?
Yes.
Yeah. Parents as teachers is a good model.
All right, talk.
Yeah.
Well, we don't all know. Tell us.
Well, as parents as teachers, a model that we mirrored in my area. I was one of the chairs of the early.
What is it called again?
Parents as teachers.
Who leads it?
It's part of the curriculum out of early learning education. I got to get the name right, but I chaired the early learning commission in my area where we wanted to make sure that 4-year-olds are ready for kindergarten. And so we paired up with the schools in Title I schools to get our kids ready in terms of the curriculum and all those things. And guess what? We had the 4-year-olds and private daycares got together with the 4-year-olds. We prepared them for a day to go to kindergarten. That was like going to college for them. And so they went there, they went in the classrooms. So we wanted to have an expectation and move. But then part of that is we took the parents through some life skill training through Families First, which is a local social service organization who talked about budgeting, who talked about career training, who did all of the necessary things. And then we trained that parent to actually be the facilitator and pay them. It wasn't just us coming in as an agency, but we left them with some skills, and they also got paid. So when we left the projects or left those low-income areas, we had a facilitator and a mentor that was still there who can help build capacity, because once the grant is gone, most of us gone.
And again, the reason I'm pushing on that, is because, whatever, there is a program that exists right now that works, that does not require starting from scratch.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's why in each one of these categories, I'm saying what already exists, go study it, replicate it, and then build from there, because that's the only way that you can actually do it. Susan, then I'm going to go to questions.
Let me tell you what we're building right here in Atlanta. It's called the University for Parents. And it's with the support of the authority, the hospital authority.
Who's building it?
We are, National Kids
Got
Movement.
it, all right.
Because we're dealing with the children. And we were saying, well, why are the children, I won't name the public school, middle school, why are they stealing food? Because they're hungry. And they're taking it home for their families. Okay, we have to help the families. We have to help these parents. These are parents who've been out of the workforce for a long time. Many of them are depressed.
Yeah.
Many of them are addicted. Many of them just don't have the life skills. Many of them are just stuck. You know, I'm doing this because it could have been me. Easily it could have been me. Okay, so the University for Parents, we have the Casey Foundation investing, the Atlanta Housing Authority, we're part of their big grant, the Hospital Authority, and I don't want to forget any of our funders, but FedEx has invested. And what we're building is a replicable model. It begins with wellness mentoring circles, safe spaces, where brothers, not forgetting the fathers, the men who are disconnected from their families, who are out of the workforce, who have daddy hunger, all kinds of pain that there's no place for them to express. Building that for them and for mothers too. Single gender, bringing people together with about 40 partners. Partners that deliver all the services that you need to become workforce ready and a valuable and valued employee. It is not undoable. It's not what? It's doable. This is not the rough side of the mountain. We just need plans, and we need to begin. I just say, begin to knit, and the Holy Spirit gives you the yarn. So we're saying we're going to do this, and already the funders are there, and we're beginning the Morehouse School of Medicine. That's our other big partner.
Roland, programs exist to work with parents. Part of the job I do is removing kids, putting them in foster care, and in almost every case plan, parenting classes, and
right. But you say program. Here's my whole point. You say programs exist to help parents. I want to know what are the programs, how to get to the programs, so with all of the people here, we now can actually spread that, because I think part of the problem is if you don't know, you don't know.
Right, and what I was going to get to, I guess I wasn't getting there quick enough, but
that's an excellent observation.
Sadly for us, those programs exist through the Department of Family and Children's Services.
Okay, hold on.
And so having to go through juvenile court to get to DFACS is one of the ways that those programs exist. Now there are private providers. I don't know the scale of the providers.
Right. And so my whole point is, that's why I kept saying with the sheriff, I want to know what was external, because I want to know stuff that exists before they have to go into the court system and before they actually have to get to the jail. Quick comment?
Quick comment about parenting programs. My name is Dr. Rashana Johnson-Verwain. I do have a parent program. You do not have to go through DFACS. We use the already empirically validated.
Hold on, baby. You said you got a program. Name the program.
It's the Parenting Hub on Cascade Road, and we use the Nurturing Parent curriculum for prevention purposes to keep families reunified, or keep them unified once before they enter the system.
And how do folks reach you?
678-973-2491.
Your business card.
What's your website, baby? What's your website? What's your website?
standardofcarepsychological.com.
That's a long website. standardofcarepsychological.com.
Or if you want to reach me directly, just go to Ask Dr. RJ. That's easiest.
All right,
standardpsychological.com.
Okay, all right, just checking. All right, here's the deal. Go ahead.
So, Roland, your point about scalable is very important. There is a grassroots effort going on right now that involves a faith-based community where Reverend Jasper Williams, who's a pastor of Salem Bible Baptist Church. He, along with government, are partnering under the auspices of My Brother's Keeper, an Obama administration initiative. We're going to be working with churches to provide training for parents in churches. To me, that's the most effective way to do it. So we're still in the early stages in terms of a curriculum that's being established and getting churches. There are more churches and synagogues and temples than there are schools and nonprofits. And so why not work through the faith-based community? So we're beginning to do that now, partnering. So as Commissioner Johnson pointed out, government can't do it by itself.
No, we can't.
So we're going to be partnering with a faith-based community to do something that's, I think, scalable and perhaps revolutionary.
Sheriff, you want to jump in?
Yes.
Go ahead.
You're talking about programs, and I mentioned our youth intervention programs, a full-day program. We bring parents.
What's the name of it and how to?
Youth intervention.
The youth intervention is called Youth Intervention Program.
And that's what we do. We intervene. We have the court working with us, and then we take them to the jail. At the end of the day, we put the youth and the parents back together, and we see a difference.
How long is that program?
1 day.
1 day. And how many times do you do it a month?
The third Wednesday of every month.
So you do it once a month?
And we've done it for 6 years.
And how many people are you able to, how many folks can go through that program each day?
We try to limit it to 20 because we have interaction with the inmates. So we don't want too many in the program in the jail, and the worst part that we have, because we have to protect them. Also, we have a program called GREAT.
Okay, hold up. Let me go back before you get to that one.
Okay.
So you got 20 a month, that's 240 a year. How are those 20 chosen?
They're call-ins. We don't advertise because we don't want to get overwhelmed, but we work with the schools and the churches, and when we're out in the community, we have an outreach program for deputies in here in uniform if anybody wants to follow up on it.
Okay.
But it's a wide open. We get people in from South Carolina, from Oklahoma, New Jersey, and it's not a Fulton County program because we can't turn anybody away.
Okay.
Somebody needs help with a child, we take them all in, and because we were on Beyond Scared Straight, we got people coming in from all over.
All right.
We have another program. He's here. Derek Bozeman has Let Us Make Man. They do, come on, stand on up. Let him know what you do.
Or just give him the mic, tell us what it is.
They do once a year and every month programs. He's right here.
You know, this is very interesting to me, but specifically as it relates to our program, Let Us Make Man is an annual conference. We do monthly programs. In fact, on November 7th, we'll be doing a how to start your own mentoring program. We'll make sure you have that information. You can go to our website. We're at letusmakeman.net. And what we have decided, Roland, that we got to do something every month. We were doing a conference where thousands will show up, but the problem is so great. We've got to do something every month, and then we call on you to do something. Also do a Real Men Read, Real Women Read. Sometimes we'll overanalyze it. When the sheriff say 95% of those incarcerated read below a 4th grade level, it shouldn't take somebody hit you side the head to know that every institution where we have influence should have a literacy program. Okay. And we don't have to wait for no psychologist. We don't have to wait for no professor to come. Right. Every church that we have generally have a teacher in it. But here's the thing. All you need to start a literacy program is 10 books and some chairs. And so what we got to begin to do is say that we love our community enough to get out here and do some things. And it's just that simple. You know, while
actually, you ain't got to do the 10 books. When I was in Arlington, Texas, to get my hair cut, all the brothers used to talk about the barber's son, who was a phenomenal basketball player. And I said, Cotton, I don't care how much you scored. I said, what book are you reading? And he said, what do you mean? I said, what book are you reading? I said, when I come in here every 3 weeks, I'm going to ask you, what book are you reading? And you got to tell me. And his dad said, Roland, he said, man, thank you. He said, I just realized I wasn't doing my job. Phenomenal basketball player, went to SMU, had a scholarship, blew his knee out his senior year, but he graduated. The point there is, we don't even stop to even ask somebody, what are you reading? I did it at Howard University, and the mama literally said, why are you asking my child? I said, baby, he's 4. He should be reading something right now. And she literally thought I was crazy. And I said, and I told her, and I said, I didn't really want to hurt her feelings. I said, you know what I do? She said, yeah. I said, I read 300 books a summer. She's like, Oh, I'm like, yeah, you might want him to start reading right now at 4. Because she put what I do and what I make together with reading.
But here's the thing, Roland, on that point, I was driving in preparation for Let Us Make Man that we do all over Georgia. I bring 16-year-old because we get out of these suits and knock on doors. I had 5 teenagers in the car, and we asked them the same thing. And we went around and started passing the book around. And one young brother said, you know what? I don't want to tell y'all, but I can't read.
Right.
I cannot read. And so that was an opportunity for us either to leave him, and I made sure that those young brothers understood, we're not leaving him behind. We're going to work with him so that he can. But guess what? He was in the 10th grade. And so we got to be serious enough to love him enough to say, we don't care where you are, we're going to reach you wherever you are.
The Fulton DeKalb Hospital Authority thanks you for watching this highlight presentation. We hope you've enjoyed this content. Please share the message and visit our website for new episodes of this series and others.